Hey, welcome to Side Hustle Heroes Podcast 30. Of course, that's Side Hustle Heroes HQ, but hey, you're here. You found us. Jim Ed here, Andrew over there. Andrew, how are you doing?
Doing great. Number 30. Number 20 was a big milestone. Number 30, no biggie, right? Been there, done that.
Yeah, right. Well, Brian Winch might have something else to say about that. He's our guest today, and he is going to talk about his six-figure side hustle and how you can do the same and easily get there. He says it's almost as easy as taking a walk. What's that?
You can get there just as easy as his 6 figures, man. Just
Right,
do what
man.
he's doing.
Easy
But
peasy.
we'll hear all about it. It'll be really interesting. So,
Yeah.
hey guys, don't tune out when you hear about, oh, this is about doing something that nothing to do with Amazon influencer. There's always lessons to learn from everything. Okay, so this is gonna be interesting, and I think you guys have heard the guests we've had. There's always a tie-in with what we're doing with Amazon influencers. Reached out to some people from our Facebook group that listen to our podcast, and we got some good feedback that basically says, yes, we like that you have guests, and we love to hear from some guests, occasionally, that are not Amazon influencer related, but we really want to hear from Amazon influencer related guests. We hear that. We're going to try to do somewhere 70-30%. We want to kind of continue to have some other interesting guests on there, but help us get these guests on here, and it could be you. We're looking at you here. If you're having some success with Amazon influencer, you just got in. We have some people in our Facebook group, they just got in. Emily, congratulations, you got in. We'd love to hear your journey. And you don't have to spill all the beans, but we'd love to hear what's your how'd you get in? What social media platforms you get in with? What'd you do with your videos? Right. You're not giving away anything, but we'd love to hear how this works because we're trying to help people here. We're coming up with a course here in early January, right, Jim Ed? And
Late January, but yeah, I think we've about got it pinned down. That's about exactly when it's going to drop, and it's. Go ahead.
Yes, we're coming up with a course in January. Yes.
Yeah, we are. You're right. Getting into the details, but yeah, we can't wait. We're putting the finishing touches on this course. It is going to be awesome. So join us there if you please.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is we want to make sure that we have all the latest information about how people are getting in. Guys, we got a lot of them here that listen to our podcast, a lot on Facebook groups. Let us know. Help us out here because, we got in early, right? So we're seeing some trends here, but we want to make sure that we can help people get into Amazon influencer. We're experts as far as like all the other stuff of it, right? We have someone here who's just scaling freak and Jim Ed for sure. All of us, both Jim Ed and I, know how to do good videos. We know how to certainly deal with suppliers as well. I've got several I'm dealing with, but we know it's the mindset it takes. We know the ups and downs of it. A lot of those things, I think even you guys listening to this, you know what it's like. But we want to make sure this is the best course possible. And we'd love to be able to kind of hear from you guys about this. Anyway.
We've been working with, especially Andrew, he's been working with some brand new people to doing videos. And, there's a lot of stuff that you forget when you've done some of this. And, look, guys, Andrew and I both, we just had to get in one time. We really didn't have to do anything to get in. We don't have a vast knowledge on how to build a platform to get in on because we already had platforms that were already eligible. But
exactly. Starting from scratch is something that we didn't have to deal with. Some of you have. And anyway, enough said about that. We've got a lot in store today. Jim Ed, I already mentioned that we've got a guest on here. We're going to talk here a few minutes about, it's about, how do you get to that next level with the number of videos you've got? Talk about scaling a lot, but we're just going to take this again. Let's just, peel back the onion a little bit more. Our podcast is obviously, we touch on a lot of topics, but let's kind of think about some other aspects of this that we haven't.
Yeah, we're going to hit this at some different angles. It's going to be good. You're going to want to hear it. Andrew, you want to kick us off with your numbers?
Not really, but how about you start with yours?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I did $315.
Nice.
And really good. Last 7 days, I am at $1,449. And last 30 days, I'm at $6,435.
Okay, that's fantastic. Remind me what your best month has been ever. That was May. Is it still May? Is still your best month? It was over
Yeah,
6,000.
6,004. Now that was
Oh
with,
wow! So you're getting really close to that best month.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I should be good.
Do you think you'll hit it? Do you think you'll hit 7?
That's what I predicted. That's what I was hoping for. We'll see.
Okay,
Maybe it'll be it'll be close. It won't be much over if I hit it.
dude. You know
Yeah,
what?
but
What's 12 times 7?
nobody knows. 84.
And you're getting pretty close to 6 figs, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm saying if on this trajectory, you're not too far from making 6 figs cumulatively. But what I'm saying is you're close to getting a 6 figure salary every year, an annual 6 figure salary
Mhm.
with what you're making on Amazon Influencer. Obviously, I understand taxes, all that stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
gross wise,
Well,
that's pretty
that's the
cool.
way six-figure salaries work. You still have to pay taxes typically. But
Sure, I'm saying, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Here's the thing, guys, and here's why you should continue to listen to the podcast, and here's why you may consider taking the course. We're brand new at this. I started this in really started making money in March and really started making money in April.
yeah,
And I am looking toward what I'm going to do next year to get this thing built up. I was telling Andrew before the podcast, my goal is next year, I want to be averaging more than $6,000 every month on
yeah.
average. I'm not anywhere near that right now, but come March of next year, we'll have done this already. I'm still learning some stuff, still figuring some stuff out. A lot of this stuff you're going to learn in the course. We really don't hold anything back on the podcast. There's a few specifics that maybe under a really small group, I may share some of my top items. I do share a few of my top items on here. And that also reminds me, we are going to have in the next couple episodes, Andrew is going to dive deep. I'm probably going to interview Andrew and learn about his FBA business. So you guys can learn about it. That's one of the things that we saw that people want to know more about is Andrew's FBA business, and he's killing it right now. We definitely want to get that on there. And another thing he and I did right before the podcast, we were diving into our numbers like over the whole entire year. So
Yeah.
that'll be something great to do. Early January is take a look at 2023 and what we've learned. Like we looked at my top item. I have an item, wasn't it? Didn't I have that one little item that I'd sold over 500 of? And
Yeah.
it's $100 item, but I'd sold so many of them that it was like in my top 5. I think it's my third best item. We're going to go over some stuff like that. Some of the items we'll be even sharing, how much they are, what they are, and all that fun
Yeah.
stuff. So make sure you're subscribed.
And we'd love for you to compare notes, post in the Facebook group. If you're listening to this not in the Facebook group, get in the Facebook group because we're mentioning these people that are talking who are posting, and you're like, who's Michael? Who's Jill? Well, these are people in our group
Yeah.
that we're getting to know these people. We're not now getting to know. We know these people now. So we see them on there. They're posting, and
Tell them where they can find the Facebook group, Andrew.
Side Hustle Heroes HQ is our Facebook group. Just type that in. Okay. Anyway, this is pretty cool. I'm just drill blanking what I was going to talk about here. Oh yeah. Here's the thing. These numbers are really fascinating. We've talked about this a lot. Should you do high price items, low price items? Well, the mix of my top 10, there's some items that are over $100 for sure in my top 10 as far as revenues, commissions, and top 10 commissions for this year. There's some items that are over $100, but guess what? There's a couple, 2 or so, maybe 3 that are like $20 to $40 items. And I've sold so many of them that it's actually made it in my top 10. I love Jim Ed and I will talk about this. Make sure you'll be able to relate with us this time because you have the same numbers we have. It's just looking at these numbers in front of us, but we're really cool. Look at your reports. And Jim, I love, we're not going to tell you what the products are, but we'll just have a nice little list saying this product was this much. This product, the second, third, fourth, it's this much. How many times did it sell? And what's that revenue? It'll be really eye-opening to get an idea for where should you emphasize things. And I think the emphasis probably is going to be, again, on a diverse portfolio.
That and just figuring out what is selling. Andrew, if I have an item that I'm selling 500 of, I probably should go find an extremely similar item and see if I can get a review on it.
Absolutely.
That's to me. That's how, and we'll get into this in the scaling, but I'm going to mention it real quick. This is how next year I'm going to be successful in hopefully doubling what I did this year by simply figuring out videos that are doing great and how to expand on those exact products and like products.
And think about this for a second. And again, if we don't get the scaling thing before Brian jumps on, so be it. But this is pretty interesting, Jim Ed. You have this item that you know is selling really well. You find other items that are similar to that item, right? Or you say, how about do 5 videos with this item, where it's doing different things with that item. Now, some things will be different, but if it's a cooking thing, if it's talking about kitchen product, let me show you, like say it's a blender, for instance. Let me do some recipes with this blender. Let me show you, the first I showed you how to use a blender. Now, how about show you how I want to do something else with this blender? I want to make a smoothie with this blender. Now I'm showing you another thing I can do with this blender. And all of a sudden you have all these different ideas. And every time you're tagging that blender, tagging that blender, tagging that blender. There may be 3 or 4 or 5 products you might put in a video. And these are things we heard, weeks ago, months ago at this point, from our people who went on there and did 500 videos. While we're not, this is some of them, while we could say they could be low quality videos, some of them, you could also do some really, really cool, like top 5 pet products with maybe 2 of them are ones that just popped off. I've got a couple in my top 10, top 15, they're pet products. Why not put both those together in a video saying, hey, these are my favorite 2 products right here. Boom, there's another excuse to do another video. Be thinking that way. Be thinking outside the box. I love what you're saying. Use the data, Jim Ed, to make more money. Not just, this is really interesting. No, like think about creatively, if you can combine some of the things in your top 10 for the month, for the year, whatever, you could all of a sudden you could be just like all over the place.
Yeah.
That's one way to scale. I guess it's kind of a good segue. That's one way to scale because you don't necessarily have to find more products. You're just doing more videos with the products that you already have, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Another thing that I'd like to mention, and please jump in the Facebook group if you can help me on this. I'm looking for your help. Teach me how to do Inspire. If you've been on the Amazon Inspire and had any success at all, let me know. I'd love to hear some tips and tricks to that.
Why do you bring that up?
We may even want to have you on the podcast.
What was your mindset for bringing that up? Is it because you're thinking some of those videos I just mentioned could be more conducive to being on that?
Yes.
Inspire?
Yeah, that, and I've just got a section over here, my welding stuff. I've got 4 or 5 or more items that's come from Amazon or more, and I should really have the wife filming me welding, showing the products, listing all the products on there, doing a live. That's what I'd like to know. If somebody jumped on there with a handful of beauty products or a handful of anything and showed it and then went live with it and kind of what the experience was. I know on TikTok, if you've got a bunch of videos, like for me, I've got over 700 videos now on my Amazon storefront. If you go live on TikTok, they're going to be like pushing these other videos out to people. So, do I get any kind of a push on listings if I'm going live all the time? There's probably some keys in here that I'd like to figure out and learn.
Yeah.
I know Amazon's going to like it. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea, right?
Yeah, we're kind of jumping around a little bit. You got a live going on. You also have Inspire. There's all they're kind of 2 different things, but in general, Inspire has lives, right? You can have lives on Inspire. It's also going to just be whatever, just a normal video. Some of your videos are probably popping up on Inspire. In fact,
probably.
if you've seen some videos on Inspire, you may actually have some. And sometimes you see like high view count, right? Really, really high. It could be because your video popped off on Inspire. Okay, great. Well, we're really excited today to welcome Brian Winch to our podcast. Brian, welcome, and we'd love to hear a little bit about who you are. Tell us who you are and anything interesting for our guests.
Well, thanks. It's great to be here. I started a simple side hustle back in 1981. I was working a dead-end job at a large sporting goods store. Didn't have a lot of money, barely graduated high school. I obviously didn't go to college, and not a lot of special skills, but I had the memory of a side gig that my dad had done. He was a janitor, and he supplemented his income by doing a number of gigs himself, like cutting grass in the summer, shoveling snow in the winter, and also cleaning up litter from outside a nearby shopping plaza. And he had taken me along with him a couple times, I guess when I was about 12 or 13. And I remembered, wow, you're getting paid for doing this. It just took us a matter of minutes to walk the property, clean up the litter with our unique hand tools, and we were done. So I had that memory. And then, like I say, I was in 1980 when I was 21. And just as I was about to start that business as a side hustle, he unfortunately passed away. So if anything, it made me more determined to prove that his gig could be turned into a business. And that's how I started up. And make a long story short, I grew that into a successful business of 40 plus years, where I generate income revenues of over $600,000 a year. And I owe it
Wow.
all to him.
This has been your full time. How long has this been full time for you?
Since 1981.
Wow.
Well,
So
you know what?
literally,
Let me back up here. Full time. So, I'm 63. I'm going to be 64 in February. The last few years, I have scaled back my hours.
yeah.
So, I still run the office, but I enjoy getting out, doing what I do, fresh air, exercise, and getting paid for that.
Now, you're not the only one doing this service, right? At that level, at that much revenue.
That's right. We've got a number of people that work for us as subcontractors. And, as we pick up more properties, we hand more of the work over to them. And I focus on managing the business and, dealing with social media, et cetera. And as a sideline, as another side gig, I'm selling my book or operations manual, if you will, Clean Lots, America's Simplest Business, where I'm telling or showing other people across the country how to start and operate a simple parking lot litter cleanup business.
How long have you been doing this course?
Well, 4 years into this business, about 1985, I realized, wow, I mean, this is such a simple business to start by
Yeah.
anyone, especially who've never, started a business before. And so I started writing down some ideas, and my book first came out kind of like as a booklet. I decided against franchising because I wanted to keep this affordable to a lot of people that, were in my situation where, we don't have deep pockets, not a lot of money, experience, didn't go to college, but are looking for an opportunity to make good money if you're willing to clean up after other people. And I'd be the first to admit it's not glamorous.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, I get great satisfaction in knowing that I'm making a difference in my community, and I see the results every day after I clean a property, and I really enjoy what I'm doing.
Well,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I think we can all relate to, after cutting the grass or after picking up around the house, there is a quick reward sense of accomplishment from a job well done on something like that. That is really cool.
Exactly. And I'm an introvert. I'm an early bird, and it just fits. It's almost like when I look back, it's almost like I was meant to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I can't imagine myself working in an office and office politics and dealing with that. And over the years, I've learned, I picked up skills that have made this business grow. And it's trial and error, and you just continue to do what works, and what
Yeah.
doesn't work, you learn from it, and you move on.
What area do you do this in?
I'm based out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Okay.
And most of my students that buy my book are located in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way the market is. Canada is a small country. And I focus my marketing efforts like with regards to selling the book in the US market. If anyone checks out my website, cleanlots.com, you'll realize that it's kind of tailored to the US market.
Okay. So that's Clean Lots, LOTS.com. Cleanlots.com. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Mostly retail space, I would imagine, or what do you get into with that?
Any type of commercial development. It could be small to medium, and even some cases large retail, small office properties, and even the industrial.
Are you getting into like getting the cigarette butts out of the flower beds? Like what is it mostly that what's most of the improvement that's done?
Well, the trick to this business to be successful is utilizing the proper equipment. So, we don't go around with these grabber tools and pick up one item at a time. And you mentioned cigarette butts. You'd be there forever. Most of our properties are serviced on a daily basis. Some of our industrial properties, maybe 3 days a week. Our customers appreciate having their properties maintained litter free. So we don't go in and clean up an accumulation. So, we use the proper tools to get in there and provide the results. But yeah, it's any type of commercial property.
Okay. Pretty low barrier of entry though. Stick with a nail in the end of it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I got started
Just
with
kidding with
probably,
you.
I got started probably with $250, back
Yeah.
in 1981. And so, all you need is a vehicle to get you from job site to job site. You can run this business based from your home. You know, the tools are pretty simple. You can, in some cases, you can pick those up at your local, home center, whether it be, Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever it be. But I do have a unique product that is on a video on my website that people can see me, actually providing the service, walking a property and cleaning it. They get a feel for what tools, type of equipment that, one should really use to get the best results.
Do you want to get into briefly, like kind of get into pricing, how you price things out, or is that just more that'd be easier for somebody to just pick up the book and figure that out?
Well, I do detail that in my book, but briefly, every market across the country is different. So I suggest people start out, trying anywhere from 30 to $50 an hour and see where that goes and see what kind of feedback you get. And oftentimes, your customers will tell you, if that's pretty cheap, or you're not charging enough, or that's pretty expensive. But at the same time, if you get that kind of feedback in my book, I suggest ways to counter that, and how to break your price down to show that how your service really is really economical for them.
How do you, just the very first step is obviously you have to convince the manager of this place, of this lot, that they want this done, that you can do this for them. You got to convince them that you can do this for them. That to me seems like it could be the hardest part. How do you convince someone that they, first of all, need the service, and second, that you're the right person to do this for them?
Well, that's a good question, because, this service is currently being provided by somebody in one shape or form or
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
It could be their own building operator. It
Right.
could be their landscaper. It could be a janitorial company. The problem with that is oftentimes this service is provided during the day, because that's when those service providers, typically provide their service. The ideal time of day to service properties is after hours, before business is open. Our business
Okay.
model focuses on, providing a thorough litter pick service for the entire exterior property, sidewalks, parking lot, surrounding landscape, after hours, without vehicle interference. And then we go one step beyond that, because after all, anybody can clean. We provide a free reporting service. We act as an extra set of eyes for our clients, where we really make their jobs easier. If we notice graffiti, property damage, somebody's dumped off some mattresses at the back of the property, we take images with our phones, iPhones, whatever,
Yeah.
and forward that to our clients the first thing the next morning. And they really appreciate that free reporting service. That separates us from a lot of our competitors, where where we can clean the property at the appropriate time of day, but we're also providing the extra reporting as, being an extra set of eyes for them.
Makes
Well, I would
sense.
imagine you wouldn't have a whole ton of competition, or am I wrong on that?
Well, you just need to sell the benefits of your service, and you point out some of the features or benefits that I've gone into, so far in this podcast. Is, we clean up more litter material in less time because we use the proper tools. We provide our service after hours, where we can clearly see and clean all litter material without vehicle interference. We provide free reporting to make your job easier, and things like that. And so, at the end of the day, property management companies are always looking for the best service for the best price. So, maybe they have somebody in place, but at some point, they're going to look at provide, a better service for a better price. That's just the nature of their business.
Well, and I get it too. You're not going to have your maintenance guys aren't going to do a great job of, they're making sure the air filters are changed out. They've got a whole checklist they're doing. And sure, they're going to pick up the litter if there's absolutely nothing else to do. I do get where that would, even though you've got somebody on the grounds to do that, I could see that being a very easy sell to a client to say, hey, look, dedicated team to make sure that your business looks fresh and new when your clients arrive first thing in the morning.
Exactly. And property managers, at the end of the day, they understand that. They said, you know what, our building operators are supposed to be doing they have other responsibilities other than walking around cleaning up litter. And if they can find somebody else that can show up and on a reliable basis provide this service and make the job easier with the communication, they're all for it.
Right. You started this business in the early 80s. I'm really interested in how we talk a lot about delegation. Okay. Delegation is a huge topic. I know you don't know necessarily everything about our podcast if you haven't listened to a lot of it, but we both have side hustles. He has a full-time job. I had a full-time job. I did a lot of delegation. We talk about delegation a lot to do the tasks for many of our side hustles that we can't do these things ourselves. That's how you scale. I'd love to hear about, hey, you started this. I assume when you started, it was probably just you, maybe you just you. And at what point did you say, hey, I don't want to be doing this for too long. I want to be able to, make more money, or maybe I just don't want to do this. I don't want to be picking up trash the rest of my life, right? So how did that kind of transform from when you started to this six-figure business? And then how did delegation play into all that?
Well, another great question. When I started the business, the intent was just to keep it a simple one-man operation.
Mm-hmm.
But, as I continued to grow, I realized that, I didn't want to lose business or give up business because my clients were asking more of me at other locations, and I didn't want to turn the business down. So then that's when I decided, okay, well, I've got to get some other people in here. And I realized the easiest way to do that would be to get other cleaners, that understand the responsibilities of providing this service to do the work for me. I started hiring subs to do the work, and it worked out very, very well for me. I didn't have to deal with people that, perhaps, they have that employee mentality and they wouldn't show up for work in the morning because they had the sniffles or something like that.
Yeah.
And, as a business person, it's all focused on results. The work needs to be done one way or the other. My customers don't care if somebody's got a cold. They just want results. And if you're dealing with other small contractors, and oftentimes, I tell people there's a ton of these guys all across the country, and they're, maybe whatever reason, they don't like to market themselves. They don't feel they're confident in getting contracts themselves, but they advertise their services and they're looking for contracts of, cleaning contracts of all sorts of different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
And they're waiting and ready, for the work that you can send them, and you get great results from that.
Did you have any growing pains or any issues with when you expected the work to get done and it didn't get done? Or do you feel like the way this was set up was the way it should have been set up and you didn't have that many problems? I'm sure you've run into something, but let us know about like how that's gone and maybe some obstacles you ran into, and then how you're able to overcome those things.
Like being in business for over 40 years, I mean, there's going to be some hiccups. I have to be the first to admit, not everyone can do this work. You have to be focused. You have to be responsible. You have to show up, do the work, but you have to look down at the ground where you're cleaning. And for whatever reason, there are some people that are walking around a property. They may be looking, at the building. They might be looking at the stars up in the sky, looking at all sorts of things, and they're walking over material. And, they honestly thought that, they were looking and doing their best effort. But it's something you learn from being trained, and you focus at looking at the ground, and kind of sweeping with your eyes from side to side as you're continually moving forward. And so you see, you can clean everything.
You live in Canada, right? But your business, how far, geographically wise, does your business go?
Well, when we first started, it was just the Calgary area, and Calgary, is a city of about 1.5 million. We're pretty spread out, but then over the years we started picking up some properties in some of the bedroom communities, if you will. So we service properties just outside Calgary as well. But yeah, it just, kind of grown. The more properties we picked up, we're pretty much basically all over the city. Whenever we add a property, it's not too far, from one of the other, some of the other properties that we currently service.
How have you been able to do quality control as you've expanded to make sure that the job is getting done properly before it comes out that the people that they've hired you don't want to hear from them, right? You want to hear from, you want to be able to figure out the problems usually before they're saying, hey, this company didn't do a very good job.
Right. Well, it's great when you're dealing with, these subcontractors, these small cleaning companies. They understand, if they want to continue working for you, if they want more work, they have to provide the quality control. And we point out to them as well that when they're cleaning, even though they're working by themselves, no one's looking over their shoulders, there are security cameras on site. Building operators do check up on the properties the following morning. There's always, kind of somebody looking at their work. I mean, if somebody wanted to take advantage of the situation, it simply wouldn't work out.
Right.
So what does your weekly work hours look like? I mean, and 600, wow, that's congratulations. That's a fine business you've built there. Do you take a salary? You take part of the profits? How's that look?
Well, we're kind of set up as like a cooperative, if you will. We're all kind of contractors for the holding company. And basically, I've got a number of contracts for buildings that I do, and that's how I'm paid. And then I'm also paid for my time, for office administrative, that type of work. So, I've scaled back to probably about 3 hours a day of cleaning, which is just fine for me. And then, another few hours throughout the day just to, operate the business.
You said 3 hours of cleaning. So you're doing some cleaning still yourself?
Yeah. I'm getting paid and getting some exercise. I'm in my 60s. I mean, I don't need an expensive gym membership.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So you enjoy it. You enjoy doing it. You're doing as much as you want to do right now.
Yeah, I tell everyone this is as easy as going for a walk. And if you're an early bird, if you're an introvert like me, you just go out and do the work. And once you're done, you got the rest of the day off. If that's the case. We've got some retirees that work or semi-retirees that work for us. We've got people, like I said, a lot of these subcontractors, they're working after hours as it is anyhow. So it works out really well for everyone who works for us and everyone like such as myself that continues to do the work.
You're one of those guys who everywhere you go now, you like see trash, you pick it up. You like going to someone's house, going to the beach, going to the park. It's like you're always picking up trash. I'm sure you probably see a lot more than the average person sees.
Well, not so much. Well, sometimes I do pick up trash, but I can't, as you get older, there's an expression or saying that, older people, they can't control what they say. And I just, right. I can't take these people that maybe are in front of me and we're going for a walk and they just toss their coffee cup or their soda can, especially if we're hiking. Like we live close to the Rocky Mountains here, and it's our backyard, if you will. So, weekends we oftentimes go out for a hike, and, most people that are out there, they're responsible, but there's always some, new city people that go out there. Maybe it's their first hike and they toss their garbage out. And if I see something like that, I'm going to speak up. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah. No,
it's that definitely. I think there's a stigma behind that now. When you see somebody I saw somebody 6 weeks ago roll their window down, throw something out, and I'm like, man, I don't know when the last time I've seen something like that. That's just so socially unacceptable nowadays. Luckily,
no, it is for me as well.
Of course, we're from Texas. Don't mess with Texas. That's what that's about.
And why is there always trash all over the place? Then there a lot of people are messing with Texas. Unfortunately, it's disheartening.
Well, you need to move on my side of town.
Whatever.
Well, you know what? I've done some things. I've done some things in the past that I maybe now regret. I wouldn't do anymore. But years ago, I was cleaning up a shopping plaza, and there is someone sitting in a Mercedes, and I don't know why they're sitting there. after hours, but they're watching me. And as I got closer to their car, they opened their driver's side door and emptied and this is when cars had ashtrays. They dumped their ashtray right onto the parking lot. And they were looking at me like, okay, here you go, buddy. Here's something more for you to clean up.
Nice.
I cleaned it up, but I dumped the contents on the hood of their car.
There you go. How'd they respond to that?
They didn't like that. And then, you know what? I would never do that again because it was stupid of me. I mean, if they really wanted to, they could probably, if they wanted to, they could look, find out who manages the property, and they would complain that somebody. I regretted that after I did it, but I have to admit it felt good at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So, Brian, as we get kind of towards the end of this session, any other sort of words of wisdom for the listening, just maybe like from a broad perspective of those who are aspiring to be successful with side hustles, right? Your many years of experience with this business, any takeaways that you could kind of send on to our listeners?
Well, I would say find something you enjoy doing. Don't do something just for the money or like chase the dollars. You've got to have a liking or, for what you're doing, because you're more likely to stick with it if you run into obstacles or forks in the road. And I have a saying, if you work your business will work for you.
Yeah, nice. I love it.
Awesome. Cleanlots.com. You can jump on his website there. Brian will hook you up with a book at a low cost. It'll be well worth your money, especially if you can get your own 6-figure side hustle going, picking up some trash. And yeah, I mean, the great thing about that is if you're willing, it's probably there. If you can talk to some people, talk to some property managers, chances are you'll get a couple under your belt and they'll try to help you find some more. It's usually the way it works, isn't it, Brian?
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, Brian, we appreciate you being on today. I mean, learned a lot about that. Was really interesting. Never heard about this business before. And just it was great just to kind of hear how you've been able to build this, and really exciting. And there's just lots of opportunities out there. I think there's opportunities, especially now, like with technology and everything, there's so many opportunities. But then it's cool that this opportunity you've been working on has continued. It's evergreen. It's continued to work over the years. Technology has not killed this opportunity, which is really cool. If you can find stuff like that, that is going to be, a lot of these opportunities now, they pop up and the door will close very quickly. But what you're doing is continue to provide income for you and your family, and I'm sure all the people you work with for many years. That's really cool.
Well, cool.
Litter's not going away.
Yeah, that's it. It's not.
And
unfortunately,
as soon as this is over, I'm gonna jump on your website. I got to check out the tools you're using. Hopefully you have also a broom handle with a nail in
it. Awesome.
But I am curious. You got me curious. I want to see what tools you're using. So I look forward to checking that out. But anyway, check Brian's book out. Check out his website, cleanlots.com. And Brian, we thank you for coming on our show, and we're glad to have you.
Thanks, guys. I had a great time.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Well, that was an awesome interview with Brian. He had a lot of cool things. Man, they $600,000 in annual revenue.
That's wild. And then that's just something that's really interesting, and it didn't kind of occur to me until I was thinking there are definitely some evergreen businesses out there. Okay, a lot of the things that we're talking about, Amazon influencer, is Amazon influencer going to be around in 30 years from now? Probably not, right? But I think we talk about this a lot. The thing about a lot of these businesses in its form, the way it is right now, it probably is not going to look like it will now in 30 years. But that's why we talk about foundations, right? Are you learning some skills that will continue to be things you can continue to use in the future? My job in marketing research, surveys have been going on, analysis has been going on for years and years and years, right? That core skill of analyzing data, it's not going anywhere, right? When people stop taking surveys, there's still a core skill. And has a lot changed in the marketing research field? Absolutely, right? It used to be paper surveys, then it was phone surveys, right? And now it's online, but you continue to have more and more challenges about making sure you have good respondents, like quality respondents. It's getting harder and harder to find quality respondents who aren't using automated means to take surveys. That's a big problem right now. So that's really, really threatening for sure. So, but like there's a lot of skills you can get from that. Like talk about Amazon influencer doing videos and all that stuff. We talk about this a lot. What skills are you learning You're doing learning negotiation to whenever you want it to scale, which we talked about already, for sure. You are learning how to present yourself, right, on camera, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's anything, right? So in life, when do you not have to present yourself? Goodness,
Well,
I
that
think
was
my
one
wife
of the
of
reasons.
I have to convince my wife where I want to go eat sometimes. Like I have to state a compelling case for her, or so at
Yeah,
the base level.
the reason I initially launched my YouTube channel, which got me right into the influencer program once Andrew brought it up to me, is I did the YouTube channel so I could speak better in public. You're going to edit your videos, you're going to scrutinize how you say things, and you're like, wow, do I really use those words in that context? And when the record button turns on, your brain goes haywire anyway. I mean, just ask Andrew; he'd tell you firsthand. He hits the record button on this, and then we have to redo it. The first little bit, because it takes you a little bit of time to get used to, kind of being either in front of a crowd or being on video or whatever the case may be. But it's a good skill to have.
Oh, it's podcast number 5. Since then, I've been it's been flawless. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah, but so the point, yeah, I think the point I'm making, I think you got the point, right, Jim? It's that there are some evergreen things, even in these things that aren't going to be necessarily around forever. I love what I love to make. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing this more than others. Maybe I'm just doing this more for myself as far as summarizing. I like just to think about seemingly disconnected things like, what does picking up trash have to do with Amazon influencer? There's not an immediate connection, but there's still some lessons you can learn as far as you can apply to certainly Amazon influencer, the way you should look at this business. Those are always thinking, there's a loophole. I'm going to take advantage of this loophole and make all this money. And there's been a lot of loopholes in life. I'm not calling Amazon influencer a loophole. No, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity right now. It's a big opportunity. Let's jump on it. Let's make lots of money. And guess what? We're doing that. But are there going to be changes in the future? Yes. Well, how do you make sure that you can prepare for these changes? Whether it's Amazon influencer or whatever. These skills you're learning, can they apply to other side business? I was talking to my wife today about, hey, I'm doing this FBA. I think things are looking pretty good. What does next year look like? I don't want to have all my eggs in one basket. I told her what I want to focus on. Well, I want to continue to focus on FBA. I also want to focus a lot on Amazon influencer, continue to scale that and grow that. We have this course coming out, which is going to be great, right, Jim Eds? That's going to be awesome. And then what else? What else? I mean, there's some other things I've got going, but got to figure out those other things because, in order to be able to do this full time, I need to think of other things, not put all my eggs in one basket. And Jim, I know you're in a situation where you've got your sales job right now, and you're not itching to get out of that job anytime soon. You're happy with it, right? You're content with it. And I'm just speaking. I know this is what you've said, which is great. And if your Amazon influencer dies overnight, likely it won't. But if it did, you'd be okay. You'd be disappointed, but you'd be okay. Now, if my FBA business dies overnight and then Amazon influencer dies overnight, it would not be good for me, right? I'd have to be pounding the pavement trying to figure out something. That's and the likelihood of that happening is unlikely. But I'm just saying there are risks. There are things like that to me, and we talked about this a lot about full-time versus side hustles. I think the ideal situation really depends on the person. If I didn't lose my job, I'd probably still be there. Let's just go ahead and call a spade, right? But have things worked out pretty well because I'm not there anymore? Yes. Yeah. I think I've kind of made lemonade out of lemons the best I can. God willing, I'll continue doing what I'm doing on the side. And now as it's become a full-time business, it's been fun so far. And
yeah, for sure.
And it's been a blessing. For sure.
I'll tell you this, Andrew, if your FBA goes awry and your influencer goes awry, I'll pay you to make videos for me.
That's a little bit of an insult, but I appreciate that. How much?
We'll see the quality of your
$1 to $10.
I mean, it's like if you're gonna bring me like those extra gum videos, be like, man, I can't pay you for those.
Yeah. So what else, Jim Ed?
Man, I mean, are you wanting to get into some scaling stuff today a little bit more deeper, or do you think we probably need to wrap it up, don't we?
Let's go ahead and wrap it up. I think it's been a good podcast. Yeah, I mean, it was. I would like to talk a lot more about it, but we'll go ahead and just make sure that we listen to where we left off because we were kind of midstream on all this. But yeah, really, let's do the scaling, and then guys, I think the week after that we have another interview with somebody else. He's got a big podcast too. We're really excited about talking with our next guest. Yes. And we're going to kind of scale back a little bit from, as you notice already, that We're not going to be doing these every week. For a while, we were just kind of just toe in the water, so to speak. But we'll get into. We'll probably have another podcast guest. I mean, after this guy as well. But I want to talk about my FBA business. That's probably going to be 2 podcasts where we'll be talking about that a little bit. It'll be more whatever you want to say. Jim Ed will kind of just be more interview style. But this is something that it's not going to just be like, hey, this is my FBA business. This is what I've done, and just telling you bragging about what I've done here. It's really going to be kind of a mini course. And Jim Ed's like, oh no, but I just mean what I've learned over the years. I've done a lot of it, but I'm going to tell you lessons I've learned. But also, here's FBA in a nutshell. Here's what it is. Here's how it works. Kind of and showing you I've gone through all these steps because I started from the very beginning. What I was doing in 2014 was very different what I'm doing now with FBA, no doubt. And I've made mistakes, but I've seen a lot of others make more mistakes than I've made myself, luckily.
And guys, if you're not watching the video on this, you're missing out because Andrew is Italian. And for the last 30 seconds, he's been talking with his hands, and it's been awesome.
I love talking with my hands. I'm going to do it a lot more often because I notice when people are using their hands a lot, I'm like, it's really cool. It's a way to talk, and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you're not blocking your mouth when you talk. I used to do like this a lot, and it was like when I was doing calls or interviewing people, I was like, what am I doing here? Like for my job, I was like, this is terrible. Yeah, my hands are not touching my face at all.
Well,
yeah,
we've got some great stuff coming up. I'm really excited about next week's guest. I'm not sure exactly who it is, but he's with UpFlip. And that's a YouTube channel that comes up in my feed quite often. I've watched a lot of their stuff. It's super interesting. Be interesting to interview the interviewer in this situation. It's going to have a lot of great questions for him. Andrew's FBA business. We don't typically get too deep on that in here, but some people have asked for it. We're going to give the people what they want, of course. So do look forward to that. I look forward to learning about Andrew's FBA business. I know a fair amount about it, but I guarantee I'm going to have some great takeaways from it. Andrew's built up something really, really cool there. And then hopefully shortly after that, we can get into some of our numbers, maybe during some of those FBAs or maybe even on the UpFlip podcast, we'll dive in there. And then I've got some really big stuff that I want to talk about that I'm doing new on the scaling end. It's the little things that really help you take a step forward in the scaling. And hopefully your scaling is more step forwards than step backs. The great thing about this program, of course, as you know, if you're on here, that there's really not any overhead to speak of. The step backs should be very minimal. So, just something don't work. It really typically probably won't cost you much money or any money. So.
Yeah. And our uplift guest, by the way, his name is Alex Freeman. Looking forward to talking with him. Yes, I think that, goodness, I could talk all day long about both these businesses. I love Amazon FBA. I love Amazon Influencer. It's just a lot of fun. It's interesting how, I don't know if it's with you. Do you enjoy talking about your side hustles a lot more than your full-time job? Yeah. For me, absolutely. I don't know what it is about it, but I was wondering if the excitement would wear off. My wife even told me, she's like, it used to just be your full-time job. You talk about that a little bit, and then your side hustle, you talk about that a little bit. Now, all you talk about is your Amazon FBA business, your Amazon influencer business. You're wearing me out. It's a whole nother conversation. But the point is, I'm really excited about it still, and it's kind of living my dream because it's not because it's my full-time job. Doesn't make it any if anything, it's more exciting. I think when you found something you really enjoy, and that's one thing Brian said today. Yeah. Find something that you're going to enjoy working on. And what's so cool about it is I hope I didn't insult him. He's like, hey, I still pick up trash. Oh, that's awesome. He's doing it because he feel like he's serving a good purpose. But he's like, that's good. The owner of a multi, he's made millions of dollars at this point, is not too good to pick up trash. The very reason he started this was probably to make a difference, right? Yeah. Environmentally, which is awesome. To me, it's like, if there's aspects of the business that you want to work on, don't work on it. Delegate those things. But do the things you really enjoy doing still. It may just be, what if I do enjoy boxing or bagging some stuff sometimes? Jim Ed, anything wrong with that? No, it's like, why not? Why not do it if I really want to do it? So, but the way I look at it, it's like, do I really enjoy doing it? Not so much. Not so much. I will delegate those things.
I got a really quick high school story I remember that reminded me of. When you're boxing, here's what you need to do. And here's the story. These guys was telling me, 18-year-olds are working over at the UPS, and they're like, it's great, but man, it pays good. They pay real well. but they're wanting all these boxes moved out of the truck so fast. And he said, the manager comes over, he goes, let me show you how you do this. He goes, here, hold this stopwatch. And when I get started, click it on. He's over here hitting it real quick, and does it for like 30 seconds. And he's like, okay, so see, if you multiply that out by an hour, multiply that out times 120, I'm moving this 1,500 boxes an hour.
Yeah.
Of course, as he's telling the story, he can hardly breathe from moving boxes for 30 seconds. So anytime you're helping them box up your products, you need to get in there and show them, okay, this is how we do it. We're checking it's right. Okay, we put it in, box it up quick, just about quick as you can, and then go, okay, y'all carry on. I just did 3 boxes here in 20 seconds. So, you're going to work here for 3 hours today. I expect, this many boxes done. All right, good.
I remember I was trying to rush to do this really quick, and I had this tape gun because we kind of part of the process of taping it. And I was like, bam! And I hit the desk, I hit my table, and put a little ding in it. I was like, yeah, don't do that part there.
Yeah.
And then the worker's like, yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't look very good what you just did there. A little
you tell them, hey, you're gonna have to explain that to Mandy because I ain't taking the blame on that.
Yeah, you're gonna take the fall for this, or else I fire you. No, it's fun, man. Business is fun. Love this podcast. It's been great. Yeah, thank you for everyone who listens to our podcast. Jim Ed, we got a couple things we want to close with. Where can they find us? And then what do we have coming up in mid-January? We mentioned this earlier in the podcast. What do we have coming up? Let's go ahead and hammer that home again.
See if we can remember. We have a course coming up, and it is where can they where can they go ahead and sign up early for the course, Andrew?
Proven AZinfluencer.com. provenazinfluencer.com. Okay.
Very good. And then, of course, jump over on our Facebook group, Side Hustle Heroes HQ. Join us over there in the conversation, and we'll see you on the next one.